restraint, slightly suppressed disinhibition, those behavioral effects also held. Granted, they were attenuated, but they were still there.
Any other questions?
Thanks for walking us through that in terms of how to download and how to get the what we call the short, and you call it fat, but short and wide, the long and wide rather. Are there some data sets that you have created that are in those two primary formats? Because it's, as I don't know too much SAS, but at least I do know that it's easier to keep and drop variables. And rather than have people go through all of the visits and then make sure that they're either taking the average or the individual visits, are there like at least two or three? Everyone's going to need the basic demographics, age and treatment randomization and all of that. So yeah, so off-the-shelf wide and off-the-shelf long data sets that are maybe in one or two parts, not too many parts. Are there ones that have been created and posted? I know you said that the change variables that were created for the 10 papers, 9 or 10 papers, are in there in the database, but is there?
Yeah, those variables are not in the database. Mind you, because they're created as part of the analytic structure. And so I think that everything we do have done for the papers, and you were one of them, was kind of a one-off. It was particular to the particular paper. I don't know that we have gone about creating a data set that is short and wide. I'm using a different terminology now. That has all the variables in it. It would be wide indeed. Think about with up to three, 5. Even if you're just using the visits, 5 visits with particular names for each variable in it, and it just would be literally thousands of variables wide. Long would be the same way, but it's at the level of person visits. So I don't think that we have built that because each one is done especially for the particular analysis. I think what I've provided is probably a useful template for doing it yourself and that's why I did change scores as well as the individual variables so that in case people wanted to analyze change rather than analyze the variable per se. I think this is a nice template for doing that. I could macro it up, but as soon as I macro it up and I put in the 5 or 6 variables, someone would want education as a variable in there, and then suddenly it doesn't work again as in the demographic. So, if there was a heavy demand, and if I started to get, Manju and I started to get the same question over and over and over again, I think we would probably meet that demand by building such a data set. No.
Here we go. Thinking about a request like that and the desire not to reprogram everything a million times, how big are these data? Is it prohibitive to simply compose a single wide and a single long format data set that contain all of the variables?
Manju just shuddered.
It could be done. I mean, there are hundreds of variables, I think, counting like all the different, lab parameters and things. I mean, it could be done, but it would be very wide,
And or very long.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for people who are using R and related tools, it's not such a big deal because they're going to look across the different data sets in a directory to pull what they need. Mm-hmm. I think for people who are using SAS or Stata or SPSS or some other packaged software without a lot of expertise in data handling, having the ready-made complete resources available, not necessarily to post on the website, but to deliver for download could be a thing.
Yeah, I can see that. That might be something we would consider doing.
Well, the other thing is I want to emphasize again, part of the network funding is to fund us to be available to help you develop those data sets without you having to go all the pain to learn how to do this. Data handling is a pain pain, 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 pain. Anybody who does analysis knows this. So allow us to help you. Don't feel like you have to do the whole thing yourself, right?
And Dan, let me kind of respond to you a little bit. There were two pieces that I needed to know. I needed to find out where the variables were located. So IVRS rand was where the treatment variable was. VO2 max is where the VO2 data was. And this is where the subject one data set gave me the demographics. And so all I needed to do to get started with this was just to find out where these variables were. And then if I don't put a keep command in here, I get everything that's in that file. That's the beginning of this big file. The data set I'm analyzing in my stupid little example is one that just has the 7 or 8 variables I need. If I don't keep a keep command, I'm starting on that giant data set that you want, and that would be even itself would be a large data set. All the VO2, all the demographics, kind of all that stuff would be there. As a guy who hates type 1 errors, and I worry about precision. I like precision theories to test, and precision some analysis to begin, and that fosters it fosters a lot of data dredging if you do it the way you do. So.
I think that keeping the data set separate is a poor guard against multiple hypotheses. It's not good enough.
Yeah, well, I would agree. I'd agree, but so let me let Chanda. That
Yep.
people want to see her anyway.
All right, so while we're getting Shonda's slides up, let me just remind you what the plan is. When Shonda's done, we'll break for lunch. That'll be the end of the webinar portion. For those that are on the webinar, we'll spend 2 hours or so this afternoon working on questions that you guys have about how you can move forward. We're here to answer questions. We thought originally about 4 domains. Again, a physiology, which I was going to lead, the molecular, which Luigi is going to initially lead, the nutrition for Cy, and the psychosocial for Corby. Now, we can start out in one group and then break up if it looks like there are multiple groups, or we could break up from the beginning. So let me get a consensus about what the group feels. How would they like to function? Yes, George.
Just to reiterate what I said earlier,
Yeah.
I would like to learn what's going on generally, and I have to leave a bit early, so I would...
So why don't we start as a group and then see if it's a natural to break into subgroups. We have 2 rooms available where we could do that. And we'll just, it'll be a game day decision. Okay? How about that? So we'll come back after this, just in case you're all running out the door as Shonda finishes. We have lunch from 12 to 1 downstairs. It's in the dining room, first floor. We'll come back here at 1 o'clock sharp. Okay? Shonda, it's all yours.
Okay. I think we'll be able to go back on track because I don't anticipate talking for the whole 30 minutes allotted to me. So anyway, my name is Chanda Dutta. I'm at the NIA from the Division of Geriatrics and Clinical Gerontology. And I thought we'd take a few minutes just to talk a little bit about how you can get your projects off the ground, the kinds of funding opportunities that we have at the NIA. And I'm going to split my talk up into 2 parts. The first part is sort of the funding announcements that we have on the streets right now. So if you have a burning topic, a project that's ready to roll, you can respond to these FOAs. And then we have 2 FOAs that are in progress that Giovanna's working on. And to a certain extent, we are waiting for some aspects of some data sets to become available, as well as to hear more about the projects you have in mind so that we can try to tailor these funding opportunities to meet your needs for the kinds of projects and analysis you have in mind of the CALERIE research resources. So the FOA that's currently out on the street, is there any way to get rid of? Yes. Okay. Brings up something else. There. So one of the funding opportunity announcements that is already out on the streets is this one on secondary analysis. Now, this is a general FOA at the NIA, and within our division, we strongly encourage people to leverage existing data from studies, clinical trials, epidemiological studies, CMS data sets, whatever you can use to try to help inform some hypotheses, to help inform future intervention studies. So this particular one, program announcement, is, again, general, and it specifically lists the CALERIE data set. So this FOA had a previous version which predated the existence of the CALERIE Research Network. So the NIA has had a long-standing interest in having the samples and the data analyzed from the CALERIE trial. So it's not changing, advancing the slides. I am. Nope, it's frozen.